when did you get into the tiny home business?
This was 2020 is when we started the build for the tiny house, also known as accessory dwelling unit, ADU, that's in the back of my primary property. So that property I purchased in October of 2019. And I mean, I noticed they had a big yard. That kind of came a little more apparent during the pandemic. And that's when I basically started the process of building a tiny house. We finished that early 2021, and it's been renting ever since up until the top of this year when I moved in myself.
So wait. You live in the tiny home now?
I live in the tiny home now.
And then you're renting out your primary home.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. And so an ADU is another word for tiny homes, and that's accessory dwelling unit.
Accessory dwelling unit. Exactly. That's if you go to the cities and you're wanting to do something similar in your backyard or on land that already has a primary structure,
right,
that is the term that you're going to want to use, ADU, accessory dwelling unit.
How much did that cost you, like to build this ADU?
Mm-hmm. So at the time when we first started, I spent right around $36,000.
Okay.
$36,000 building it, and that was doing specifically a shed conversion. So I converted a prefabricated shed into an accessory dwelling unit. But there are a number of different ways or structures that you can get started with doing it.
Wow. So it cost you $36K, and you're already at $35K?
Exactly.
Profit.
Exactly.
And so now anything more is, well, that's not profit. You got your money back.
Exactly. I got my money back.
Or it's profit.
Exactly.
But you're living in it now. So you really won't make profit from that, but it saves you money
right now
because you're renting out your primary unit.
Exactly. So the primary unit basically pays for all of the mortgage, the utilities, and any type of expenses that I would have for the ADU as well. Wow. Because what I do is, rather than renting it as an entire, I guess, space, I rent it suite by suite to graduate students in the area. And anybody familiar with Atlanta, you would typically know, like, there are a number of universities and colleges just right within the perimeter.
Precious, rewind. How many bedrooms you got in your primary house?
3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. 3
renters inside of the house.
Exactly.
Primarily who are college kids.
Exactly. They're in graduate school, so they're actually, Morehouse Medical is my sweet spot right now.
So you smart.
Yeah.
So you're not party people.
No. I know better than that. I know better than that.
Wow. And so you're charging them for rent, but now, and I'm guessing inside of their rent payment covers a portion of the light, portion of the water, and everything.
Correct, exactly. So I get anywhere for each suite. I get anywhere between $850 to about $1,000 per suite.
$850 to $1,000 per suite. To $1K. Now, if this is too much I don't want to put you out there. Like, I was about to ask you something else. So that means you're getting about $3K a month.
Just about.
Just in renting.
Exactly.
And then that covers mortgage and your situation.
Exactly. Mortgage, utilities, and whatever, I guess, costs. But again, remembering the ADU is connected to the primary home.
Right.
Like everything is connected, the water, the sewer, all of that. So there are no separate utilities. It's all tied into the primary structure.
Yeah, you smart.
Thank you.
You running that game.
Yeah.
and you're smart because it's like you got college graduates in your house. So if anything was to go down, you're right there in the backyard.
Yeah.
So you can just jump in the back door like, hey, calm down.
Exactly. But I never have to do that because that's the piece that some people say is like, oh, well, I think it's a little weird, like the landlord living in the backyard. And it's like, number one, what are you planning on doing where it would be any problem for that? But number two, it's like really, again, we don't interact for the most part.
Okay.
Like there's a completely separate entrance, a separate trail on the other side of the home that I'll come into versus like the driveway and the front of the house where they're parking. So we really don't interact for the most part, but it is convenient because sometimes they'll lock themselves out of the room or something and they need me to, so it's convenient for them.
No, they got you come bother my people. You got to pay for my time for me to come let you.
Hello? You do.
And so you have a lock on their doors?
Exactly, of course, because if you're renting it as separate suites, you have to have a lock on each of the suites, right? Yeah.
Come on. Okay, okay.
Yes.
I thought I was just getting a tiny home expert, but you running a whole.
Yeah, no, again, because as mentioned, like before this as well, I had been in the short-term rental space heavy, right? Since 2018.
Okay.
And I've done it every single way that you could think about doing it. I've done it with my own apartment, right? And just re-renting that. I've done the rental arbitrage route. I've done corporate leasing. I've done the route of buying a house and putting it on Airbnb. I've done the route of building a structure, the ADU, the tiny house, and putting it on Airbnb. And every single way I would say this is my favorite. Number one, because it's a lower overhead, but number two, is just a lot less back and forth. Like, I don't have to manage the cleaners. I don't have to worry about like, okay, pleasing new people every couple of days.
Yeah.
If I just please these same people, it's like, I'll be solid.
Yeah.
And when my mindset switched over from like, okay, rather than renting it as the entire structure, let me do it as separate suites. Like, it changed the game for me, because all you need to do is find the right attitudes to come into play in the same space, and you'll be good.
And when did you purchase your first home?
October 2019.
October 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the home that you're currently renting out.
Yes, the one that I'm currently renting.
How old were you then?
23.
23.
23.
23.
Mm-hmm.
Purchased your first home.
Yes. And I should have did it earlier.
How? So, I mean, 23, you're young. What was your income? What was your ballpark yearly income around that time?
At that time, I would say around $85,000.
What you doing at $85,000 making, you know?
So consulting. So I went to Indiana University, majored in business, of course, got my undergraduate degree in marketing and technology management. Then I got my master's in information systems, and I went on to start pretty much working as a consulting analyst at the time at one of the largest consulting firms around the world. And that was honestly an amazing experience. Like, when I was doing that, I'm able to travel, number one, which is what got me into the short-term rental space.
Okay.
Because I was never at my house. So I'm like, I might as well rent it out and not pay the rent, not pay the mortgage.
Right.
And that's pretty much what like catapulted everything. So at the time I was making around $85,000 a year, saving a good chunk of that, honestly. And then on top of that, like, I was able to cash in stocks, because with a job like that, it's like you're getting stock options.
Yep.
It just made sense.
What would you say for people who are just now learning about you? I mean, because you've been in this business that's so young. You're 27 now.
Yeah.
Right? No kids, not married, living in ATL. ATL.
Shade.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Hey fam, quick question, and we'll get right back to the show. Are you tired of worrying about your money? Are you tired of hidden fees and long waiting times for your paycheck? Look no further. You see, with my friends at Chime, the #1 most loved online banking app, you can say goodbye to all that and say hello to stress-free finances. You know, with Chime, you get paid up to 2 days early. That means no more waiting around for your paycheck, no more worrying about unexpected fees like some of these other banks, and no more credit checks or large security deposits. Chime is all about providing you with the financial freedom we all deserve. Don't take my word for it. I want you to try Chime out today and see for yourself why it's so loved by many of our friends. Visit anthonyoneal.com/chime or click the link in today's show notes to get started and take control of your finances. Speaking of your finances, let's get back to today's show that's helping you. Peace out. What got you into success earlier on?
Okay. So for me, I always like to say, like, that hustle has always been there. So I am the oldest of 5 children.
Okay.
I am first generation everything, meaning I'm first gen to go off to college. I graduated high school in 3 years, immediately went to college.
Okay.
Once I was at college, got my master's. Like, I'm first to do all of that. And my parents had me when they were kids, like kids, for real. So early on, it was kind of instilled in me, like, that hustle. And again, I always like to say, like, I'm from the south side of Chicago, so I think it's just there, seeing my environment and how I was growing up. I knew I didn't want it to be that. Like, I didn't want my life to be that. So something needed to be different. And the piece that my parents really instilled in me was, like, education, like, go off to school. So school was always my jam. Like, always did well. Again, graduated in 3 years, went on, finished my master's in 1 year. And it's like, okay, boom, what's next? Because I knew that was kind of going to be the thing that, I guess, unlocked the door for me. But it's always been there. And for me, I would say the primary driver for it was my mother, my dad as well. My dad's a hard worker, but my mother, she's always been like a hustler.
Yeah.
And I have never seen her work a job. Like, to this day, she is a cosmetologist. She has her own salon out in the Chicagoland area, has stylists in there and all of that. So that entrepreneurship was already there. And early on, she instilled that same thing within us. Like, I never had a job in high school. Like, I would do hair in middle school. I did sew-ins. I did braids. I would sell snacks in high school. When I was in college, I would, like, get discounted items like Uggs and Ralph Lauren and all of that, and then I would sell it on campus. Like, these were the things that I was doing, and just the difference in how she taught us to think, rather than really exchanging your time for money. It's like, okay, what kind of, for lack of better terms, what play can I come up with that's going to get me this money when I need it right now?